Welcome to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki, where inspiration meets action. This is your spot to grow, level up, and lead with fresh ideas. From sales to service, from frontline teams to executives, we're dropping weekly knowledge and insight to keep your store sharp, relevant, and profitable. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. I am excited to introduce you to Carla, and she's the head of sales at Matador. And you probably have heard me say this before, how much I really love this product, and I use it in a lot of the dealerships that I work in. You guys know I'm traveling in stores, I work service and sales, and I just love to see tech and what it can do for people, especially as it increases our productivity and our efficiency in the dealerships. We're going to talk a little lead sales teams and growth market share here today with Carla. And, we're in a spot now where, AI and automation are reshaping how dealerships connect with customers. And I'd love to hear from Carla, who's really been building and scaling companies' go-to-market strategies and helping all of these dealers out there succeed in what she calls the SMS-first world. Carla, welcome.
Hey, Jen, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure.
Listen, it's great to be here to talk about this SMS first world. I mean, at the end of the day, we have the same expression, but when you think about it, a customer is going to check SMS within 3 minutes. 90% of customers are going to check SMS within 3 minutes of receiving it, as opposed to email, snail mail, and all these things. Having AI there as an extension of what we do at the dealership is just such a winning combination. If you look at our evolution over the last few years, dealers have always wanted to measure more, determine their ROI more, but more importantly now, it's about efficiency gains as well, right? Our teams are lean. They're a little bit smaller than they used to be. And we want to focus our people on really what they're good at, which is engaging in the relationship with a customer, whether it's over the phone, whether it's in person, whether it's using digital files. But that redundancy, that long-term follow-up is something that basically kills the motivation of a lot of teams, right? We know customers are making a decision, 70% of them within a week of reaching out to a dealer, but there's 30% of them that are taking longer. So that long game is what people are not typically good at because, they're juggling what's going on.
We like the low-hanging fruit, Carla.
Absolutely. Who doesn't? Seriously. You have a customer in front of you. You got a customer requesting a video. You've got somebody inquiring about a Carfax. I mean, you're moving. You're always doing things and remembering to go, 3 days, no response, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. I mean, nobody sits there and does that for hours anymore. So that's why AI matched with a great human being is just the best extension of customer experience a dealer could ask for,
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned SMS, from the jump, because that's really what customers want. That's what salespeople want. They want to engage over text, but the truth is that we still, have to recognize that this is an emotional purchase, and that humans do things that AI can't do, connect with people in a way that, feels emotional. It feels understood. It feels like, it's a little bit more personalized. It's rapport, relationship building. And, you've led sales in one of the fastest evolving tech spaces in automotive. Can you tell me a little bit about what's changed the most in how dealers buy tech, or maybe even how they evaluate a partner over maybe the last year or so? And for me, I oftentimes look at like the way that customers want to be communicated with, and are we locked in on that? And is it something that we've leveraged, to find the growth, patterns that we're looking for? But what's your thoughts?
Well, listen, I mean, it's an evolution. It's not just a major change. It's an evolution. Dealers are looking to
make sense.
Look at clear ROI. Is this measurable? Is this something that I'm going to implement that's going to be a return on investment? But also, am I gaining efficiencies by implementing this tech? The number two thing is, does this tech integrate with our systems? Because nobody wants to have people toggle between technologies in order to be efficient. that's the opposite of efficient, right? So
Mm-hmm.
integration is very important for dealers. They're looking for solutions that are going to integrate with their current CRM, their inventory feed, and that's what we do best. Basically,
Right.
having to toggle between two technologies is not really ideal for any team looking to be lean and gain efficiency. They're looking for transparency and trust, because we know also that SMS comes in with all these TCPA requirements. So we want to make sure that the dealership's communicating ethically, and that
Mm-hmm.
customers don't want to be contacted or not, and they're opted out of the system. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I love Matador so much, because it's got also that smart opt out. The customer doesn't necessarily have to write stop, like at the dentist office, in order to get rid of a conversation. They can say, stop calling me or stop contacting me, and our system's intelligent enough to quietly unsubscribe them and not bother them again. They're
Right.
also looking for strong support, because as
Okay.
companies get bigger and scale, unfortunately, what we see is a lot of companies scale down their support, just have a help desk, and you're dealing with 10
Oh,
different
this is
people.
like a deal killer right here, especially
Totally.
with AI companies emerging today.
Absolutely. And I think one of the worst things that, the expectations out there is, don't think you're going to get a system that's like a set it and forget it. This is a
Oh, that's
collaboration.
that's another deal killer. When
Absolutely.
dealers
Set it and
actually
forget
think that they're
it.
going to buy this product and just like let it do its job. No, you have to get involved.
No, you have to get involved. I mean, AI is an extension of your dealership. It's an extension
Right.
of your culture, your product offering. We all sat around a table with dealers at one point in our lives and said, what's your ideal way of working a trade? What's your ideal way of working a credit application? Well, you could basically build those intents into your AI, so that when your people are busy, servicing customers, engaging with them over the phone,
Mm-hmm.
in person, then the AI is going to have that culture set for you, and that customer experience is going to improve.
I love the way this thing's evolving. I like the way that sounds. It's like these are all good things for, I think, for dealers that are trying to vet tech out there. They're trying to see, what should I be asking and what should I be looking for? And of course, we all want, we want to see our return on investment. And anyways, if you just pull out text, for example, all of these things are tracked. It is easy to see how much engagement we got. We can see the benefits of AI, through text conversations, and how they're bringing people in and how it's getting people to, engage with us. And I love the reporting, but, in working with so many high performing sales teams across the regions and all of the different roles that you work with, what traits or habits do you look for in great salespeople today, especially when you're selling tech to dealers?
Well, I look for people who really understand the reality of a dealership, in terms of, the
Yes.
sales department. What are their goals? What are their gaps? There's gaps that, whether in Colorado or in California or in Vermont, are going to be the same,
Mm-hmm.
but what are particularly, the gaps that this customer is experiencing. So, I look for people who know the environment, who understand the gap, love this industry, because, we
Mm-hmm.
are people industry,
Mm-hmm.
um, and want to help at bridging those gaps. Now, Matador is a pretty serious tool, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you were to turn on absolutely every feature in Matador, you couldn't handle it, right? So we look for people who are going to look for, those top three gaps that we
Mm.
want to bridge. And then we'll work with them on those three gaps. And then a performance manager, a client success person will be able to move that customer to the next three gaps, and then
Okay.
optimize their business. So we look for people who are really involved in trying to help and understand how we can make dealers more efficient with AI, how we can make humans more efficient with AI. Um,
Yeah.
Somebody with a value-based personality, consultative personality. We want long-term relationships, and we really know that if you look at the market out there, each dealer has an average of 80 suppliers working with them
Mm.
within the dealership. So
At least. I think
are you
that's
going to
actually the real data.
it is.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a supplier? Are you going to stay in that category of, okay, you're meeting a gap and that's all? Or are you going to move that relationship from supplier to strategic partner, where, people at the dealership are seeing the value that you're bringing, and they're
Hmm.
involving you when it comes to strategizing campaigns and
Hmm.
things like that. And that's the kind of people we like to work with at Matador.
Well, I love to hear that because I think that's always the breakdown. You can have a really great product. You could have the best product in your place. But without the right people behind it that are understanding of how a car dealership works, that's always a disconnect, because this business is very unique. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of profit centers under one roof. There's a lot of people. And I think sometimes if you don't understand like what a real dealership sales process is because you lived it, it is difficult to solve the problems and to integrate into the dealership in helping that your product actually work for them. And so I'm actually, thrilled to hear these things because a lot of my clients they're leveraging AI. They have been over the last couple years. I think some of them are still a little confused on what their expectations should be. And you really need to have the right support staff and the team to be able to help them navigate this because they don't know everything. I mean, who does? You're navigating this together. But one of the things they always tell me is they're like, okay, and now when I ask an AI company to come on board, I ask them like, what's their long-term vision of their company? And I've heard people say this, and what's their support staff look like and how accessible are they? And I'm like, okay, these are great questions. These are great ways to look at the companies because the people that are surviving right now, like Matador, they have to have the right squad. Supporting the dealer because you can have a great product, but if you scale too fast and you can't support people, well, then things all go downhill. And I've loved watching you guys grow. I have seen you guys from the very beginning in dealerships, and I've watched this thing accelerate. And I'm always the first to be told, oh, they got a horrible team. They got a great product, and they certainly aren't saying that about you. So no, tell us a little bit more about your go-to-market strategy and what's your approach to scaling without losing that personal connection, with each of your dealers or even your dealer groups.
Well, dealer groups, I mean, but dealers in general, right? It's a people business. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're here to support those efforts, but more importantly, make them more consistent. What
Mhm.
we've come up with is we have pods now, enterprise
Okay.
clients, smaller clients, so that these clients always have a specific team. I always say it takes a village, right? So
Hmm.
you have your sales engineer that's going to be constantly working with your group. You've got your client success person, your onboarding specialist, and as you grow and expand your group, because 70% of dealers do belong to a group, whether they have a centralized strategy or not,
Hmm.
to be able to utilize that same team in order to scale success in that group. So that's how we go to market with it. It's definitely people first, engagement. We use our own tools as well to keep our customers engaged and make sure that we keep a pulse with them. Send them out, a little notification saying, "Hey, these tasks need
Haven't
your
been
attention," and the
like,
GM or the sales manager can just action them off with their first cup of coffee in the morning and get their day going. So
I love this. Well, I think that's one way to stay connected to people. It's like because the truth is that any sort of new tech is challenging for people to understand,
sure.
execute, and well, I know that AI is one of these where dealers can sometimes find it difficult to adopt the way that it's supposed to work and stick with it. So, what have you found that actually helps dealers move the needle in terms of buy-in when it
I
comes to
about that for
adoption?
days. I can absolutely talk about that for days.
Okay.
One thing we do notice is leadership, right? Is it coming to
Yeah.
the top? Are the managers engaged? Are we setting, ourselves up to win? Right. I mean, we could have a great tool. We could be there to support
Right.
the consistent team. We can integrate with the CRM, with the inventory management. But at the end of the day, sales managers need to make sure that their people are working within that process, right? Not
Yes.
going off the wall and starting to text with their own phones again and ignore the system so that it opens up TCPA compliance issues and things like this. I mean, leadership skills, naming a champion per location, that's always going to
Love
work
this.
for
That
client
works.
service, absolutely, and say,
Hmm.
okay, let's optimize the system together on a monthly
Hmm.
basis, bi-weekly basis, and have that strategic partner relationship with us so that we can say, hey, take a look at these 3 campaigns that we ran on the West Coast. Look at the conversion rates. Why don't we try something like that at your place to
Hmm.
shake it up a bit? So it's a two-way relationship. So
I see.
adoption, integration, leadership at the dealership to be able to make sure that the crew has just like my crew, right? Like I
Mhm.
wouldn't want them to use 10 different tools in order to engage with their customers. We have to, all row in the same boat. And that's
Mm,
what I'd like to see. And that's what we see with success is when leadership's involved and, they basically set the tone for the team and really show the team that this is an extension of themselves. It's
mm,
not there to replace them. It's there to be their super assistant. When they're busy with a customer, AI is going to sound like them. AI is going to be customized by intent
mm,
for them. And, it's going to carry the conversation when they can't so that nothing
mhm.
drops in between the cracks. So,
Yeah, I find that a lot of times it's broken down because not everybody knows they have the tool. Not everybody knows how to use the tool. Not everybody is being. It's not being. It's not being discussed
promoted.
heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is really something that gets incorporated into your regular meetings because you're using the data from the tool to show results. And it becomes another marker in what we're looking for every day, every hour of every week and every month, so but if people don't see the results, if we're not talking results, then nobody knows it's working. And then sometimes, people just don't realize that we're not even using some of the functionality, because we have to keep unlocking features, so then we're growing with the tools too. We're not overloading them with too many features up front and people don't know how to use it. But I do believe that when leadership is including their management on how this tool is supposed to work, what are our goals, what are we looking for as outcomes, and then we're having regular discussions about it, well, then we're keeping this momentum. Yeah, so I really appreciate you saying that. It's a lot of it is communication top down. We know this, right? But
We do,
you know,
seriously.
yeah. It's interesting because you've got this intersection of sales and AI, and you've got to coach your team, to use data and automation to be more effective and not so robotic, in their approach. So how do you do this?
It's really the same recipe as we have for our dealers, right? Like engagement is about personal relationship, understanding the customer's needs and goals. Basically, what do they want to address, and speaking to those, whether it's I
Hmm.
have a lot of solutions engineers that FaceTime with their customer on the weekend because the
Yeah.
customer, okay, hey, what do you think about this idea? And I mean, that personal touch is always great, but if you don't have AI in the background, that solutions engineer, getting, more and more clients every month, more and more
Hmm.
leads coming in, we use AI as well to keep our customers engaged, to make sure that we have a little touch base that goes out and checks in with the dealer. So using technology and using our people for their strength, which is
Mm.
the conversation, the strategies and things like this, and using AI to just keep them engaged and keep long term strategies going, right? Because not everything is going to happen within 24 hours of meeting a client. We know that in selling vehicles, we know that in selling
Hmm.
tech. So medium, short, medium, long term, the only way to really optimize everything and not leave that 30% of the business on the table. Like, who would do that today? Like, nobody would leave 30% of the business on the table because they're too busy. They would be bankrupt, right? So AI is there as an
Especially with tools like this.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, like I've heard so many dealers often say, "Oh, last month we did really great in provisioning and service. This guy
Hmm.
Mark, he went up to every customers and gave him an equity check-in, and yeah, Mark's sick this month, so we had absolutely no provisioning this month." Well, with AI, you can actually make that great process from Mark
Mm-hmm.
something that's consistent in your dealership without thinking much about it and just reaping the benefits of whoever's responding back to you. So
Yeah. Well, certainly things are changing, and rapidly. The industry is moving, it's evolving, and we've seen so many things change, from digital retailing, and we've seen CRM automation, and now we've got this great tool at our fingertips, AI in our service and our sales processes. What's one piece of advice that you would give to a sales leader that's trying to navigate this whole thing? Navigating this shift with their teams. What's your advice?
Well, listen, as a leader, I think reassuring our teams is one of the number one things to get buy-in, right?
Okay.
Positioning AI as an extension of themselves, an extension of what
Okay.
they do well,
What it is.
eliminating the redundant task. Like,
Mhm.
sales managers, salespeople, we have to get their buy-in. We have to get them on board. And to do that, we have to sell to them also the
I got
idea
you.
of
We know what you're
saying,
saying.
"Listen, you're so great at this, but you're getting 300 leads a month. There's no way
Mm,
that you can apply the quality person that you are to these
mhm.
300 people. So AI is going to be there to be an extension of yourself. So really just getting their buy-in. I
Yeah.
need you to, check your tasks every day. If AI is tagging you, which it really shouldn't really tag you for more than 20% of the conversations, then you got to
Mhm.
jump on it and everything like that. So just
Mhm.
coaching them on daily meetings to say, keep your eyes on those things.
Yeah.
Only texting through the platform also to keep the dealership
Compliance.
CPA compliant. That is
Mhm.
getting so important. We're opening
Mhm.
ourselves up in this industry to so many potential lawsuits by just letting people do whatever they
Agreed.
want. We gotta bring the team home and get
Wrangle
them
'em in.
go in the same direction.
Yeah. That's really great advice. It's very simple, yet it is very powerful. And in fact, I would say this is a very valuable conversation for dealers today that are dipping into this. And you can't put your little toe in there. You need to go all in. That is my opinion. That is my advice, because I'm watching this thing erupt in the stores. And I can tell you this, the high performers that I work with today all are using this tool. These are not low performers. These are people that want to win. They want to win every day, and they
Absolutely.
want all of their team members to feel like winners. And you can't weigh them down with mundane tasks that are just impacting their mentality.
Exactly. You can't have a top player focusing on redundant tasks, right?
No, that's insanity.
It's insanity. So it really
Literally.
is about you know a little pause. I'll start that one again. It really is about optimizing that great player that you have and kind
Yeah.
of like cloning everything they're doing in order to generate a great experience for the customer at scale. So
Yes.
you're keeping your high performing people happy, dealing with the people who are in front of them over the phone that are making a decision shortly, and you're leaving AI for the long game, and the long
Right.
game wins every single time.
The
So
the fundamentals of connection, it never changes. You know what I mean? Like clarity, it never changes. Tech's gonna evolve, but these things don't change, and we have to tie things back to people and process.
people in process, absolutely, and it's really really important. It's no longer, it's very competitive, right? So you have
Yes.
to have an edge. You have to have an edge. Like I remember teaching people, oh listen,
Yes.
if you intend to have at least 10 to 12 conversations with a customer, your odds of closing that vehicle are over 70%. But
Mm,
when you look at the data, most people will follow up 3 or 4 times. So how do we bridge the gap? Those
it's
three or
true.
four interventions are great from that human
Yeah.
being. Well, let the other 6 be AI so that we get to our total of 10 plus and we increase our probability of selling. And how many times have you heard customers saying, yeah, I've got a lease portfolio, but I haven't spoken to these customers in 3 years. Well, AI
I
will never
know.
stop speaking to these customers on your behalf.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
don't show up out of
You're
the blue.
cultivating. You've got a
Yeah,
pipeline. It's
very true.
active at all times. And
Exactly.
by the way, Carla, you just triggered this thought. You know how many times I go into stores every week and a store's using AI in their sales process and they say, yeah, and the customers don't even know. They look they're and they always have a name, right? Their name for their tool. And they're like, yeah, they love Carla. They want to talk to Carla. I'm like, things have changed. We are
I'll,
doing
I'll tell
good.
you a little secret. We get about 40% of all our inquiries coming in from actual salespeople, not
Yeah.
managers, not dealer
Wow.
principals. Salespeople are looking for this in terms to
Yeah.
make themselves more efficient.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah, it's a
obviously
sign.
the performers are seeing this, and that's why every month we have hundreds and hundreds of inquiries coming in from top
From
salespeople across the
salespeople.
nation, wanting to use Matador themselves, even though we are a business to business platform.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. That's
but
telling.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Very telling.
It's exciting. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's a smart conversation, and so relevant and so timely. Let's keep having these conversations because, our job is to continue to educate the community. All the people that out there we're all working together. We're all trying to do the same things, and if we don't keep working at doing better, well, we're going to get left behind. And I will tell you, there's a lot of heavy competition out there and everybody's tightening up. When markets and economies go down, we all look to our process and say, how do we do better? And our high performing stores, well, they've already locked in, and there's still time to get on board. There's still time to get involved in this because, it's not going away. We have to really embrace the tools of today.
Absolute game changer, for sure.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. Don't forget, my weekly live classes are designed to keep your team fired up, skilled up, and focused on results. Subscribe right now at edealersolutions.com.